Hello everybody. So we are at the Fredericksburg battlefield in Fredericksburg, Virginia, where the Battle of Fredericksburg took place December 1862. I'll have to get a video of the Sunken trail road that we hiked up to get up here. So yeah, we're getting ready to go into the cemetery, and I wanted to show you a couple of the gravestones. So there's a lot of people buried here, Union and Confederate, but there's a lot of identified graves and a lot of unidentified grave markers, and I'll show you the difference in just a second. Alright, so this is a marked grave of a Union soldier. His name must have been J.H. Story, and he is from Pennsylvania, which is why it says PA. And right next door there's an unmarked grave, and it's marked with just a number. So they have a whole numerical system here on how they keep track. But like I said, it's unknown. We don't know who these people are. Here's another person from Pennsylvania. A.P. Martin. Shout out Mrs. Martin. Probably a relative. We'll have to look it up. And again, here's a couple of unmarked graves. So we will see if we find one. Oh. USA. Laughlin. Very cool. So I'm going to try to find a grave from Virginia, but there's a ton of graves here. Like a ton. So we're going to walk around, check it out. Deanna's here with me. She's here again. So we're going to walk around and find some cool stuff for you guys. So we accidentally stumbled across this cemetery because we were actually supposed to go somewhere else, but Mrs. Scott made a wrong turn. And we actually drove right along this road, and we look up and we're like, what are those hills? Because we see all these like little rolling hills. They're graves. They like just decided to pull in. Very cool. So glad we stumbled across this. My name's Mrs. Scott, and I love horses. Here's a really cool hitching post, you guys. So a hitching post is just where you would tie up your horse if you had to go into like a building or something. It's just really cool. I just wanted you to see it. Okay, guys, so this is the Sunken road that I was telling you about. Here's a picture of during battle in 1862, and here's present day. So the Union were up on that hill that we just came from with their artillery, and the Confederates were advancing from the field, which is, if you know anything about military tactics, it's probably not the best advancement choice. The Union up here had the higher ground, so it was a lot of mass casualties that happened during this engagement. So this is the remnants of the Stevens house. And like Deanna was just saying, it reminds her of the story of the Henry Hill house at the Battle of Bull Run. So basically, this battle took place on December 13th, 1862, and the house was right here. So there's the Sunken road over there. There's the hill that we were up on top of. So we have Union, Confederate, and this house is right here. Okay, so there were sharpshooters in the house, just like at the Henry Hill house, and it says, legend holds that Martha Stevens, unlike most local residents, remained in her house throughout the battle. She made repeated dangerous trips to her well, which is right there, and tore strips from her own clothing to bind the wounds of the fallen. Mrs. Stevens lived until 1888. She was buried in the plot to your left, so over there somewhere. The house survived the battle but was destroyed by fire in 1913, which seems to be pretty common with historical houses. Pretty stinking cool. So yeah, Deanna was saying how it reminds her of the Henry Hill house, which I couldn't agree more. Alright guys, so this is just talking about the Stevens family cemetery. It talks about Martha Stevens and how she's also known as Granny Stevens. She was a pretty tough lady, it sounds like. So it says they remembered her for her ever-present apron, the pipe often clenched in her teeth, and her matronly form. But Martha Stevens was no typical granny. At a time when women rarely owned property, she owned no fewer than 7 tracts, including a 92-acre farm in Spotsylvania County. She's also known for running a saloon in her home. A local resident remembered her as uneducated and too free and outspoken in what she said and did and how she did it. She might be one of my new favorite people. I love her. Love you, Granny. Granny Stevens. Okay, so this is the Innes house. It was owned by Granny Stevens. I love her. But if you notice, it's right along the Sunken Road. And there's that Union Hill we talked about, and this is where the Confederates were advancing. Okay, it talks about how one side of the wall was pierced with bullets. So here's a cool picture to show how many bullet holes were in it. And Granny Stevens replaced a lot of pieces, but it says that there's still some remnants, and we're going to check that out in just a second. Pretty cute little house. Go ahead. So yeah, we've got some bullet holes in this house, and you can't really see it from the window because there's a glare, but if you, like, on the inside there's a whole wall. No, you can't see it. There's a whole wall with like bullet holes all on the inside. That's pretty crazy. Okay, so this sign is talking about a really cool story called the Angel of Mary's Heights, which is that hill that we just came from. I'll read it to you right off the sign, but this is just really super cool and powerful. So it says, while the Civil War entailed immense destruction and tragedy, it did not always engender hate. For 2 days following the battle, wounded Union soldiers caught between the lines cried out for water. Though exposure to enemy fire, even for a moment, meant almost certain death. Sergeant Richard Kirkland of the 2nd South Carolina Volunteers tried to help. Filling several canteens with water, the young Confederate stepped over the stone wall to care for his wounded enemies. When Union soldiers understood Kirkland's purpose, they ceased firing at him. For nearly 2 hours he continued his ministrations. Kirkland later died at a battle at Chickamauga, Georgia in September 1863. Right here it says he was just 19 when he performed his heroic deed. How cool is that? So like I tell you guys all the time, don't let anybody tell you guys you are too young to do anything of importance. This is an amazing statue depicting Richard Kirkland saving the lives of his enemies by giving them water on the battlefield. Very cool. So this is the original wall of the Sunken Road, which is pretty cool because if we look at it from this angle, it was literally like dug into the ground. So that's probably where it gets its name, Sunken Road. Very cool. So this beautiful home on top of the hill is closed to the public, so we can't go up there, but it was used as a field hospital and a headquarters during this battle at Fredericksburg. Pretty cool. And they said that the pillars of the porch that you see were speckled with marks of bullets. Shells and solid shot had made sad havoc with the walls and the woodwork inside. The windows were shivered and the partitions torn into pieces. The doors were perforated. So this big old brick house has seen a lot. Pretty cool. Okay, so we figured out this is Brompton's driveway. We figured out why it's closed to the public. The president of the University of Mary Washington lives here. Pretty cool. Okay, so we left the battlefield, had to come right up the road to this monument. It's very tall. It's a monument marking, remembering Mary Washington, mother of George Washington. Okay, the real reason for coming over here is this rock. It's called the Meditation Rock. It's where Mary Washington would walk from her house over here to pray for George while he was really struggling during the American Revolution. So it's often called the Prayer Rock or the Meditation Rock. It's really cool to think about how his mother would come over here and pray for him and for the country to be successful. So this is why I love this spot. It's a little hidden gem. There's tennis courts and everything. There's the monument. But right behind the monument, if you ever have a chance to come down here to Fredericksburg, you can come find the Meditation Rock, which is really cool. Okay, we're doing a drive-by of the Hugh Mercer monument. He has an apothecary down here in Fredericksburg, but he's also very close friends with Washington, and he fought alongside him as well. Here's the Kenmore Plantation. This was Washington's sister's home, and yeah. Ta-da-da. Come see it. It's closed right now. Yay, Corona. but you have to come see it. Okay, our last stop of the day, we had to come by the water. Can you see it back there? Oh yeah, you can. Okay. This is a river that runs right through Fredericksburg. So remember your trick. Please remember your journal. So it's not please, it's remember. If you said Rappahannock River, you are correct. I hope you guys have enjoyed coming with Deanna and I. Wait, bye Deanna! On our little adventure today, we've kind of seen a lot of different stuff. This is pretty normal for me. We kind of like to just wander and see what we can find, and Fredericksburg's a great place to do that. So, miss you guys, love you guys. Hope you're staying healthy and safe.